Hey everyone, it's Phoenix Rising Star, and today we are working with angels in our Angel Healing Circle that's offered monthly. And the topic today is healing trauma. Now, there's a lot of background information to have about this because I'm sure, if you're here, it's because you're like, okay, I know I've got some trauma in my past here and I'm really done with that. But I wanted to address a number of things that you may not be aware of regarding trauma, the different kinds of trauma you can have without knowing it, and then how the angels offer you healing and support that is definitely different from what a lot of modalities and therapies do out there. So I need to give you that background before we get started so that you have a good grounding and into what we're doing today. So, there are many kinds of trauma, and of course, there are some that are just so obvious. It's like, okay, I'm in a car accident. That was traumatic. Now I'm afraid to drive. It has repercussions. So it might be a one-time event, or you might be looking at something that's more repetitive in trauma. Like, I think I used the term stress on steroids. So if you are a major caregiver for a loved one, or just because that landed in your lap to do that, that repetitive action can actually wear you down and be a form of trauma. And that's something we don't realize because it's subtle and you're exhausted and you just keep going because you have to keep going. But to recognize it as trauma is not something that we normally do. We just say, I'm burned out, right? But that when you look at the reactions that you're going through, they're exactly the same. They mirror the same reactions that if you were to exhibit trauma that's more overt, in other words. Then we do have sometimes, unfortunately, repetitive events over and over again that are definitely traumatic events, and they're out of your control, and that creates its own type of ongoing experience in your life because it happened more than once. We also have past life trauma, and that's a little more subtle and harder to recognize. When you have past life trauma, it's like you've had a fear or a phobia all your life, and it seems unnatural or unrealistic. Like some people might have a fear of flying, or a fear of water, or a fear of being smothered. And it doesn't even have to be that strong. It could be just something like a fear of spiders. That's like, oh, and if you can say that I've had this all my life, then chances are whatever it is, it came from a past life and you brought it in on your cellular memories because you didn't know how to heal it then. And so it's exhibiting itself in this lifetime. So you can see there's all kinds of ways that trauma can be in our life. And I think it's important to be able to identify what kind of trauma are you experiencing so that you know if it's going to be easily manageable or if it's going to be comforting and healing to release that, or if it's going to take some more deep inner work and ongoing deeper inner work in order to help you release it. So I just think the more knowledge we have, the better that we can help ourselves heal ourselves, which is what the angels are doing. So let me explain a little bit about how and where trauma resides in our bodies and in our energy field, so you also have a better idea as to why it's so hard sometimes to release it. So when we say that you're a female in an abusive relationship with a male, and it's just, maybe it's physical, maybe it's emotional, maybe it's a combination of those things. And even if you release the relationship, you walk away, you say, I'm done with this. If you haven't healed at a cellular level, then it's going to keep coming back. Now, let me explain why that happens. In our energy fields, we are holding layers that hold our memories of this lifetime and past lives. And in our memories, we have our physical experiences held in here. Now, our good ones are great, and they're thrilling, and they're wonderful, and they don't get in our way. But our traumatic ones, those are the ones that start coming up, you know, the fear of jumping in the water or fear of drowning or the fear of flying, you know, that kind of stuff can make you hold back from doing fun things or getting out there more or enjoying life more, right? But in the case of an abusive relationship, if you are holding onto physical layers of abuse in your body, chances are that's going to keep you from getting close to anybody again or even having a wonderful, loving relationship. You may be holding on to the emotions that you absorbed as you were being abused, things like anger or resentment or fear, right? And those are held in our energy field as well and in our cells. You may have made some mental belief systems that you didn't even know about. Like if you're that female in an abusive relationship with a male, then you might have this underlying belief that men are not safe. It's not good to be in a relationship because look what happens. I can't trust anyone. People are going to hurt me. I'm not safe unless I'm hiding. I mean, there can be so many ways that we form these belief systems, and they're so deeply buried in that energy field, we don't realize that we're acting from them. And we don't realize how much they're actually limiting our life, you know, and keeping us from having loving relationships and just taking life to its fullest. We're holding ourselves back out of fear of hurt. So when the angels come in to help you heal trauma, they're addressing all of this physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, which would be the past life healing. It doesn't matter where you've got this stuff. It's what matters is that your angels and guides are going to be coming in to help you with this, right? Now, here's what happens. When you're holding this in your energy field, there's a couple of things that are going on. First of all, if we're only holding it in our field and not in our body anywhere, which is kind of unusual, but if that were to happen, eventually it's going to start getting in your way through your mental choices, through your emotions that come up, because they're coming up to be healed, to be released, right? So if we don't take care of it on those levels, it keeps coming in closer and closer to our physical body until it really exhibits itself in pain and disease and illness. And that's just how it is. Things come in from the energy field first and they land in the body when we don't understand how to deal with them. But the other thing behind cellular memory is it affects your law of attraction. So going back to that female in an abusive relationship with a male, you've got these cellular memories, you've got these mental belief systems, these emotions, you've got things going on in your field here, and you're broadcasting that. So even if you leave that relationship, you're still walking around broadcasting abuse or victimization. So who's going to pick up on that? The very perpetrators, abusers, people who are looking for the next victim, right? It's like a pheromone thing. The like attracts like. So chances are you'll end up in another abusive relationship unless it's healed at a cellular level. I mean, this is why it's so hard for people to heal trauma, because we don't realize all the different places it's held. Very few modalities and therapies address all those different places, emotions and belief systems around this, and very few of them address the cellular level of this. And when the angels come in to help you heal this, what happens is it's not like they magically remove the events, because that's not why we're here, to live in this 3D world. We're here to experience them, but not to carry those imprints farther than we need to. And if they're causing us pain and suffering, if they're holding us back in some way, then what the angels can do is help you to find that neutral spot where you see, even in the worst of times, the hidden blessings. There are hidden blessings. And many times it's about our own empowerment. Other times it might be compassion and having understanding and awareness for other people who have gone through these things so that we can help them more in our path of service. You know, it doesn't matter what it is, but there are hidden blessings. And when we find that, we've neutralized the charge that the trauma has on us. And that's when true healing comes in on all levels. Now, it may not be so easy to spot in terms of the healing, right? Energy healing is very subtle. So sometimes you can walk away going, I don't know what happened. I'm feeling okay, but I don't know if anything's really changed. And you might not know it until you're in a situation that you normally would have a reaction to, and you find yourself reacting differently. So say that you're that abused woman in that relationship, and you've left the relationship, and now you've gone through a cellular healing. And what happens is you meet a man, and your first reaction would have been to run away. But now, because of a level of healing that's come in, you might be able to look at that person and just say, maybe we can be friends and let's see what happens from there, where you never could have done that before. Or maybe it's just having a conversation and it's okay. And you never could have done that before. Maybe it's heightened your intuition and your discernment process, so you're able to spot abusers faster and better and get them out of your life before they even get ingrained in your life. So that's what I mean by finding a different way of reacting. And that's how you know there's been healing. Particularly with the kind of trauma that's ongoing, and it's just so repetitive and it's so much of it inside you, probably one time with anything, any modality or therapy is probably not going to heal it completely. But with the angels, here's what they say. There's two things that I want to bring up about what the angels say, but what they say regarding this is that it's okay. We peel back a layer that you're ready to release. And you're going to feel better. Your life is going to be better. And when you're ready for the next layer, you'll know it. And then you can come back for the next layer. Because if they peeled everything away just because we wanted to be done with it, that might not be for your highest and best. If you're left writhing on the floor and incapable of even a thought, that's not your highest and best. So that's where the angels are working. They are bringing to you whatever's for your highest and best, and it may not be what you think it should be. So we have to just let go of our expectations of that one. Now, the other thing that the angels say that's so very important to know, and I really believe I should have stressed this more in the email because it would have helped more people to say yes to this, because I know there's a lot of hurt people out there. With many therapies and modalities, they make you relive things in order to change them. Forget about it. All that does is re-imprint you many times, right? It makes it worse. It doesn't make it go away. So with the angels, they're so wonderful. They say, listen, you've done this once or you've done it many times and you don't have to do it again. And you don't have to relive anything in order to heal it. So many times during these types of healings, people will just go to sleep because that's where your brain is off having its own happy adventure, and the angels can really come in and do all the work at your cellular level without you having to be aware of what's going on, which is lovely. Now, you may be aware of what's going on, and that's fine too, because you're not going to be repeating anything. You're just having insights and awarenesses that help you to move farther on your healing path so that you can lessen the charge that trauma has on you. So I really needed to lay all that groundwork for you to lessen expectations, but also to lessen any fears or concerns that you might have had around what we're doing today, and to give you a better understanding of what trauma can look like in your life. It can range from very subtle things that you've had since you can remember to something that is an exact event or a series of events that you will never forget in your life, and everything in between. So remember that repetitive stress equals trauma. And certainly the last couple of years have been repetitive stress for many, many people. There's a lot of unknowns, and it's those unknowns that keep us feeling off balance. So, okay, what questions do you have? because this is a deep subject. So I really want you to be able to experience the healing that is perfect for you. And if there are any questions that we can get out of the way and help you to understand better, then this would be good. Just checking to see. Yes, Lisa.
I don't really, it's not so much a question, but very early on when you were explaining, you said when you find the hidden blessing, you neutralize the trauma. And I feel like, oh my God, we should have billboards that say that all over the world,
Yes.
because that's it. That to me, that's it. And I work on that every day. And
Yeah.
I work on it
Wow.
every day. And do try to help other people see it, and they're like, oh, you always want to see the bright side. Like, well, yes, I do, because I believe there's a reason. So not really a
Absolutely.
question, just like,
Yeah.
this is good stuff.
Oh,
This is good stuff. And you said it in a really clear way. It doesn't sound
woo.
mystical or
Woo.
ungraspable.
Good.
So thank
Good.
thanks.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And I'm glad it was a good confirmation for you and for what you're doing. And I think that the way we do it today is going to help you to do it even easier, right? To find those blessings and to live your life more fully and help others that way too. So, yay. Wonderful. Anybody else want to share anything? PJ? I think you are unmuted if you want to just share. Oh, okay. Change your mind. No problem. All right. Okay. Well, here's how we're going to do this today. So we always start from a loving state, right? And this loving state is built upon our memories of love, especially the unconditional kind of love, if you ever have known that. Or it can be that oneness that you feel in nature. It can be a spiritual epiphany that just changed you for forever. So it's that kind of love that we're starting with. And what I find is when we start with that, it opens our hearts enough so that the divine or source energy can come in and really do what it's here to do, what we're asking of it. And remember that we are asking also for our highest and best helpers to come in. So this would be in the realm of angels, archangels, ascended masters like Mother Mary, Jesus, Buddha, Kuan Yin, etc., as well as we have a spirit of, there's divine spirits, right? We have divine spirit of light, of love, of compassion, gratitude, and so much more. So we're talking high level beings here to help us experience our highest and best, whatever that might be, right? So I'm going to be leading you in this meditation. It's like a little journey, and it's gentle, it's loving, it's kind. I'm going to be introducing you to a very special helper that is kind of my go-to person for many, many things, go-to spirit helper for many, many things, and has many specialties, and probably will be familiar to most of you. But I want you to just experience it from a heartfelt standpoint first, and then we'll just turn it over to your helper to do whatever's for your highest and best, and giving you time to experience that. And when that helper, or you may have other helpers too. So when your helpers say, okay, this is good for now, even though they may continue their work, they'll tell us when we can come back from this and be consciously aware. So your healing may not happen in an instant. Well, it could, but we may not be aware of it in an instant. And it may take 24 or 48 hours before you start to have an understanding of what transpired or how you were different. Don't worry about that. It takes whatever time you need, but probably not longer than 24 or 48 hours. You'll notice something by then. Even if it's just more energy, right? That's a common thing. Or better sleep is another thing. A little more joy, that's always a good thing. However it exhibits itself. So be watching for signs that you've changed. And so then I'll bring you back. And then if you still want to just stay in that wonderful state that you're going to be in at that point, you could probably leave the meeting, because I like to open it up for sharing afterwards. I found that sharing helps you to make sense out of it and make it more real for you. And your sharing can help other people as well, because maybe you're experiencing things that they did too. We are a group after all. And so it helps them to have a better understanding of their experience. Maybe it triggers something that they'd forgotten that happened, and now they're remembering it, so it has more meaning that way. So I like to open it for sharing. It's not required. But if you want to listen to the sharing or be a part of the sharing, then stay on. Otherwise, I'll let you know when it's time for you to leave, and you can just stay in your happy place then. All righty. Everybody ready? Okay. So I usually turn up my video so I don't cause any distraction. And there's nothing much to see anyway, because it's just the divine coming in to do all the work, which some of you will be seeing with your eyes closed anyway, if you're visual, and others of you might be hearing it, and still others of you might just have a knowing without knowing how you know, and still others of you can have healing without feeling. So it is what it is, and we allow it to be that way, because we are all unique individuals here on our journey. So I invite you to just get really relaxed. You can lie down for this if you'd like, or you can sit in a lovely reclining chair, or in a regular chair, or sit on the floor with a pillow if you'd like, however you are comfortable. And allow your breathing to become slow and rhythmic at that rate that works for you. And to do that, we just begin inhaling a little more slowly, and then exhaling a little more slowly. And at first it can feel kind of contrived and challenging, but after a couple of breaths, your breathing will relax into a slower rate that actually is signaling your body for transformation and change. And it makes it easier to step into meditation from that place. So just allow that breathing to find your perfect breath, slowing your heart rate, slowing your brain waves and your neurological waves, which affects all your organs and muscles and bones and everything, so that everything becomes a little more relaxed, so that you can be present in this moment now. I invite you to think of a time that you were in nature. And maybe it was like a wild place, kind of an untamed place that just had its own unique beauty. Or maybe it was more manicured, like a massive garden or a forest that appealed to you. In that place in nature, there was something about it that helped you to just witness the beauty. And beauty often evokes an emotion or an emotional reaction, which helps us to open our hearts. So if you've had any of those experiences where you just felt so much beauty around you, or you felt that oneness with the trees and the flowers and the animals and the soil and the water and the air, even the nature spirits. Or maybe it was just a place where you felt so grounded and centered and you never wanted to leave it. Possibly it was even a magical place where you just felt like you had to sit and meditate or take a quick nap, and when you woke up, everything was different. So if you have any of those experiences, just bring them into your heart right now and hold them there in your heart as that perfect memory of oneness and wholeness. If you've been lucky enough to have any loving relationships with people that loved you no matter what, they were always there for you. And it didn't matter how grouchy you were, they still loved you. It didn't matter how much you pushed them away, they still loved you. And sometimes we find that in our children when they're really young, and sometimes it's more of a grandparent or a best friend. And sometimes we just don't have that human experience, but we might have it in an animal, like our beloved pets, cats, dogs, horses, goats, chickens, fish, whatever, whoever it is that you have that you're close to. You might have experienced it with a wild animal, where you just unexpectedly found yourself with a heart-to-heart connection, even looking eye to eye with each other, in an epiphany of sorts, an awareness of sorts. And if you have any of those experiences, just bring those into your heart as well. And maybe you had like a spiritual epiphany that happened to you. Maybe it was through a dream or a meditation or a vision. Maybe it was from being in a sacred place or doing some ancient ceremony that just changed you for forever. And if you have any of those experiences, draw those into your heart as well. And now your heart is incredibly full with all kinds of unconditional love. The kind of love without strings or attachments that just accepts freely and is always there. And the thing is, whatever you hold in your heart, it starts bringing in more of the same. So when you're so filled up with love, it just starts attracting more love coming in, and more love and more love and more love, until you feel like your heart is just filled to overflowing. And when it overflows, that love then moves into your physical body and touches every cell in your body with love. And love is what heals, and love is what manifests. So allow the healing power of love to just move through your body. And you might notice if it's pausing a few places, maybe longer than others, or if it's going to some places first, even though all places will receive this love. And you might not have any awareness at all, and that's fine. It's still happening. And just like filling up a glass with water, you are filling up with love, maybe from the bottoms of your feet to the top of your head, or maybe it happened in a different way, but pretty soon your entire body is filled with love. And when that happens, that love is going to spill over now into your energy field, beginning with that physical layer that holds your physical experiences. And all those experiences are being touched with love. And slowly that layer fills to overflowing with love. And the love moves into the next layer, which is your emotional layer. It holds all of our emotions. And all of them are valid because they each teach us something. So even though you might have been told, well, good girls don't feel that way or good boys don't feel that way, that's just a belief system and it's not even an accurate one. So you can let that go, allow that to be healed, and just allow this love to offer healing to all of your emotions, no matter where they're held within this energy field. You don't have to even direct it. Love knows exactly where to go. And then as that layer fills to overflowing, that love moves into your mental layer, the place of our belief systems that we created in this lifetime in order to make sense of it. But it also holds our ancestors' beliefs and our past life beliefs. Because the farther out in your energy field you go, the more is there, the more complex it is. So love is moving through your mental layer, but it's also touching and healing all belief systems and helping you to create and manifest new ones that are better for you, even those we didn't realize we were operating from. As slowly this fills to overflowing. And last, this love moves into our spiritual layer, which is such a large area. Circumference-wise, it's huge. It's a huge field. And this holds our purpose, our soul's purpose for being here, how we are impacting others, how we're helping others. And it holds all of our memories from our ancestors and their lifetimes, and all of our past lives, and all those memories. So this is huge, because it's all intertwined into this lifetime, and we're operating from it without realizing it. So definitely allow healing in the form of love here, so that you can live your life more fully and completely. And as this layer fills, it doesn't overflow. It's going to stay right in this sphere of energy that is around you. So right now, you're in the center of this sphere of love. And I want you to just take a minute or two to really experience that. Really feel that. And know that. And you can do this anytime you want. And if you did nothing else but this will also change your life. It's just that we're going to take it a little farther. So, some of you might be feeling an awareness of a spiritual helper that's here for you today. And you may have more than one. Some people really like to work with a crowd, and that's good. Or maybe you have a team, and that's good. But the really important one that I know of that's here, well, they're all important, but Archangel Michael is here. And he is kind of my go-to when there's deep healing that's necessary, whether it's ancestral, whether it's past life or current life. He seems to have a lot of abilities to do a lot of wonderful things. And when he comes to you, you might feel the wave of love that emits from him. And sometimes it's like a beam that goes from his heart to your heart, and sometimes it's more enveloping, where you just feel suffused with the love that's emanating from him. And if you may not have an awareness of that love, and that's okay. It just is one way that we can discern who it is and know that they're here for our highest and best. But that intention alone is enough to make sure that anyone who comes in is for your highest and best. Now, you can send a wave of love to your helper, Archangel Michael, and any others that you might have. And it's like thanking them for being here, but it happens without any words. So love becomes a communication, a shared communication between you, because this wave moves back and forth and establishes a connection here that helps you to trust that it's for your highest and best. Now, many times there's something really direct that he might be doing with everyone in the group, and at other times it's really specific to each individual, and that's what's happening this time. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stay very quiet so that you can have your rich experience with Archangel Michael. And when he's done and when your helpers are complete for now, they'll tell me that, and I'll bring you back. But for now, just allow it to be what it is, whether you're in a really happy place, a sleepy place, or filled with insights and awareness and healing. It's perfect for where you are now. So just be present for it to the best of your ability. Just take another minute or two to feel complete with where you are right now, even though the healing may continue longer. And when you feel complete for now, gently begin bringing yourself back into your room and back into your chair or the floor or wherever you are, back into your body, becoming aware of the energy flowing through you, knowing that you are cellularly changed even if you don't recognize it at this moment. And if you want to stay in your happy place, you can leave the meeting now. And if you'd like to share or listen to the sharing, you can stay on. Opening your eyes when you're ready. And turning on your video when you're ready. And if you'd like to share, you can put something in the chat or you can unmute yourself. And again, it's optional. You don't have to share.
Okay, I'll share.
Thank you.
So when you first said which helper would come in, I saw Jesus right away. And then when you said Archangel Michael's often here, I saw both of them. And it's kind of like one was on one side and one was on the other side. Archangel Michael was on my left side, Jesus was on my right side. And Jesus looked like he was doing more work on more of my physical body, while Archangel Michael was working more in my energy body. And then it was funny because Archangel Michael knew I was trying to see what he was doing. So he showed me like whatever he was getting, he visualized it to me as he was like gathering up a whole bunch of stuff. It was like where his like arms were full, like of just stuff he was like removing to get rid of from me.
Wow.
And then he kind of just like, I kind of just tossed them up so they would just like, kind of just go away, disintegrate, disappear. So yeah, so I was just trying, because I want to kind of see, what he's doing, but then I also just want to like not like get in the way. So
yeah.
so then I kind of noticed that even though I was sitting in a chair, they kind of in my mind's eye so that they turned me over. So then they were working on my back. And again, it was Jesus was working. I saw him kind of working back here. I know in one of my classes they call it the gates of consciousness. So he's working back there. He was working on my shoulders, like muscles in my shoulders. And then Archangel Michael was still working out in the energy field. And then when they were nearing the end, they turned me over again. So I was on my front. They was just doing a little bit more work. And this time they were working closer to, I think it was just the the aura closest to your body, not the physical, the emotional. So that was like what they were, and I actually saw them sweeping, like they was sweeping away energy that I didn't need anymore.
Fabulous.
Yeah. So it was and then of course and this happened, it was perfect timing with when you were saying ready to come back, because they were done. So, like I thanked them, and they told me just to keep relaxing because I have the habit of wanting to like come right back and do something right away. So I was like, okay, I'll stay in this space and relax.
Nice. Oh my gosh, isn't this just amazing?
Yeah, yeah, it
And
is amazing.
how do you feel?
I feel really happy and I feel really light right now.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely. You got a big smile on your face.
Thank you.
And freer too, I think, when we're not carrying all the weight of all of that, it helps us to feel lighter and freer.
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
Hmm. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's just wonderful news. Yay.
Thank you.
Wow. Would anybody else care to share? Wow. I thank you so much for being present today and having the courage to say yes to your personal healing journey. And whether it's one step on your journey or maybe you moved a mountain today, whatever it might be for you, I'm so proud of you for having the courage to say yes to your self-healing. And this is something you can listen to over and over again. And I encourage you to do that because remember, we're layers of the onion. So every time you pull back another layer, you're healing yourself and you're helping to, step into a new way of being that's going to be easier, freer, happier, gentler, a better way for you to not be held back anymore by life and life circumstances. And every time you listen to the recording, then you're coming in as a new person because you've already had a layer taken off and now you're ready to take off another one and another one. So you'll have this at your disposal to listen to as much as you need to. And I encourage you to do that. You might hear different things each time. That's what happens with many people. Because we're in a certain place when we're listening to it, and so we're filtering all the time, and so you might have filtered out something that you didn't think you needed, but maybe the next time you do need it, and so it acts like a different meditation every time, and you are a different person every time. So there you go. So thank you so very much, and I look forward to seeing you next month at our next Angel Healing Circle, and I'll be letting you know what that is and when that is in your email. So thank you so much and have a wonderful, blessed rest of your day and
Thank you.
weekend.